Okay, welcome you all for the today's session that is on evaluating and institutionalizing OD interventions. This is Professor Bhati Sundar here from Department of Management Studies, STM College of Engineering and Technology. So, uh, we know that we have already discussed about how the changes are planned and how they are diagnosed, the organization is diagnosed for problems or improvements opportunities. So, once the organization is being diagnosed for implementing new OD interventions or bringing new OD interventions to solve those problems, it has to be measured, right? What are the outcomes of that interventions? How they were implemented, what were the results of it, whether the organization was successful or not in implementation. So all these things have to be evaluated. Just like for a teaching learning process, evaluation is compulsory in the form of exams. Here also, whatever changes have been brought up, they have to be evaluated whether the organization has successfully implemented and the outcome is the desired outcome or not. So that is what is today's chapter of evaluating and institutionalizing OD interventions here. So the evaluation just does not happen only at the end of the uh, implementation of OD intervention here. So the very interesting part what you can find here is the evaluation also happens at the implementation phase. Why it is very much necessary. And first, let us understand what is this evaluation. You take feedback from the organization and its members whether the interventions have been successfully implemented and the organization is getting the desired outcome or not. So this is what you are going to evaluate. But this chapter talks about also evaluating the organization at the implementation phase also. Okay, why it is very necessary? Implementation of interventions during that time also, why evaluation is very much necessary? The reason is whether the implementation is happening correctly or not at every stage. See, for example, if the OD process change process is for around 1 year, right? Till 1 year, if you don't look back, if you don't try to evaluate what is happening in the organization, many people may lose the concentration from that change process. So time and again, maybe every quarterly or I can say monthly or every fortnightly, if you get feedback regarding to what extent the program has been implemented, then only you can make timely and positive changes in the organization. So if there are any mistakes happening, if somebody is not coordinating properly, or if somebody is not implementing the change process correctly or not, so this you will never come to know if evaluation does not happen at the implementation phase. So whenever interventions are implemented in the organization, time and again evaluation should be done. So how will you do this evaluation here? So whenever it comes to whenever we talk about evaluation, we need some factors on which the evaluation has to happen, right? For you also, let us say that questionnaire is there. Question paper will be there. In that, around 10 questions are there, and you will be evaluated on those questions. So here also you need some measurement system. You need some factors on which the evaluation can happen. So in this case, the evaluation happens on certain right variables, and those variables have to be chosen very, very carefully. So what are these variables? I'll give you some examples here. The variables can be like whether organization members are accepting the new changes or not. So this is one kind of factor. Then whether the time slot whatever or time period whatever was set up to implement some phase of the intervention, whether you are able to meet it or not. Okay, so such kind of things have to be timely measured with some maybe questionnaire or an interview method or an observation method also. So it is just like a research what you do here. So you measure the performance of the employees in the organization by giving them a questionnaire, by asking the superiors to rate them on the performance. The same way here also, you give a questionnaire or you interview them and ask certain set of questions how the things are going on in the implementation phase of the organization development process. So here the first stage is you have to select the right variables which you will be going to use to measure the implementation here. So once those variables are selected, you have to check the goodness of measurements. I don't know whether most of you people have done this in the research project you are carrying out or not, but yes, you have to define the operational definition of those variables. There is a statistical tool for checking the reliability of those variables and validity of those variables. We'll not go into too deep of those things, but you have to check the goodness of measurements. That means whatever variables you have selected, whether they are right and reliable or not, and whether they are valid or not. So you have to check for that. You have to use certain statistical tools to check the goodness of measurements. So once you select the right variables to measure the implementation and also check the goodness of those measurements, then is where you are supposed to design a research framework. So just like project, here also you have to design a research framework. Why this is necessary is it will help you to stay back on the same path. It will not allow you to deviate from the system. So the research design should include what kind of research you are going to use, then what kind of questionnaire or interview method you are going to use, what will be the questions, whom you are going to ask those questions, or whom you are going to give those questionnaires, so that they can fill it and give it back to you. So that research design has to be clearly mentioned so that deviation from that research design does not happen here. The research design should also include what kind of analytical tools also you are going to use to analyze the data. So you have to fix up a time frame here. During implementation, you have to fix up a time frame. After this phase, whether I'll go for evaluation. After this phase of implementation, whether I'll go for evaluation, right? So, or else you can fix up like every 15 days I'll do it, every month I'll do it, every quarterly I'll do it. So fix up a time frame, and every time frame you have to conduct the evaluation feedback process. Okay, so once you conduct that evaluation feedback, the implementation feedback process, you will be able to get an idea how things are going on in the organization, whether they are positively going on, developments are going on positively, or somewhere there are some problems which the organization is facing. So once you are able to identify those problems, immediately you can target those problems and try to bring solutions, try to solve those problems. So that is why during implementation, feedback plays a very important role. So once you take a feedback from the implementation phase also, after implementation, you need to conduct evaluation feedback. This is basically aiming at the whole at large, whether the intervention has been uh, properly implemented or not. Implementation feedback means during the process. Evaluation feedback means after the intervention process. So once everything is set, once everything is implemented in the organization, whatever changes you were expecting, everything has been implemented in the organization. Now is the time to take feedback. So here, this feedback, evaluation feedback, will help you or will aim at determining the impact of that intervention, how it is going to help the organization, whether the outcome is positive, whether the performance has increased, whether the goals have been met or not, whether the employees are satisfied or not, whether the performance of the employees have increased or not. So all these things will help you to get to know whether the implementation has been successful or not. So that is what is evaluation feedback here. So this is a picture of how this implementation and evaluation feedback is connected to the diagnostic and implementation of the interventions in the organizations. So you can see here, this is the diagnosis which you do in the initial phases to understand the problems of the organization. Then based on that, you design and implement the interventions in the organizations. At the same time, there will be a lot of other alternative interventions you keep ready. Why? Because if this fails, okay, there are some alternative solutions which are ready to help you or support you to bring those changes in the organization. So this is diagnosis, and this is this whole part. Okay, this whole part is the diagnosis and implementation phase. In this process, at in the second stage, that is implementation of interventions, this feedback system works here. Okay, so once this implementation of the intervention is happening, at every stage the feedback is being taken. That is what is implementation of the feedback here. So it is not connected to diagnosis or interventions here, but yes, it is very much connected to the implementation and designing and implementation of the interventions. So once that implementation is happening, at every stage the implementation feedback is taken. So if there are any corrective measures to be taken up, here only you can plan. Okay, so you have to clarify the things, you have to ask the organization members what problems they are facing, and again go back to the next stage. So that after the whole process of implementation, the last part is the evaluation feedback. So this will check for the long term effect of uh, the intervention, I can say here, right? So you try to measure the outcome of the organ. Let us say, I'll take a simple example. If the organization wants to go for technology upgradation, automation in the system, let us say assembly line of the cars. Initially it was done by hand, now they have automated the system. So they diagnosed that the things are going on very slow, and then they decided that they have to go for automation. Re-engineering happened there. So they implemented that re-engineering process in this particular stage. So once they implemented that re-engineering process in this stage, at every stages the implementation feedback was taken, whether the automation is being successfully implemented or not. So the intention of that automation was to increase the production and increase the speed of work. Okay, so that was the objective which was decided initially. So now evaluation feedback will check whether the outcome has been achieved or not. That is, whether the first objective was whether the production has increased or not. Second objective was what? Whether the speed of the production has increased or not. So that is what you will check in the last stage, that is evaluation feedback, uh, in after the implementation of that intervention here. So this is implementation and evaluation feedback framework which works in the organization. Okay, so once you get the feedback whether the organization is running correctly, and you are now fixed, that is, you're ensured that the organization is really working very nicely, there are no problems in the organization, everything is going on smoothly. So once you get this feedback, now is the stage which is the institutionalization process. And we as told in the initial classes, the institutionalization process is something which will make the change permanent in the organization. So that is what is institutionalization process here. Okay, so how to bring this institutionalization, how to ensure the members of the organization are being habituated to the new changes. Okay, so they have to follow it like a routine life or routine work system, right? So that thing you have to ensure in this institutionalization process. So how you can do this? So you can do this by using these 5 simple strategies. These are socialization, commitment, reward allocation, diffusion, and sensing and calibration. So these are some simple steps or techniques which you can use in the organization on the employees trying to bring some institutionalization, that is trying to fix up or trying to retain back that change which has already happened in the organization. So I'll tell you one small example how SBI did SBI used a technique of training to institutionalize the system. When SBI went for computerization, uh, people were afraid initially. Later, they started accepting it. Changes were brought in. But whenever they were taught the new software, how to use the new software on the computers, it was easy for them. But after the trainer used to go back, they always used to find difficulty. So every day what they used to do is they used to work on two systems. One is the ledger system and second one is the computer system. The old ledger system also they used to enter the credit and debit records, and after in the evening they used to enter all those records in the computers. That was quite okay. But later slowly what used to happen is if the trainer or the consultant used to go back, these employees used to find difficulty in entering the data. So every day sessions were conducted, and every day a certain time period was given to those people to practice on computers on that software every day, okay, for a few months. So once the organization came to know that the employees are accustomed, they are adjusted to the new system, they removed the old book maintenance system, that is the ledger system. Slowly they eliminated it, and everybody had to compulsory shift from that old ledger system to the new system. So they used something called as a training phase or a cooling period for them, which made them habituated with the new computerization system. So that is also that is very much necessary in this stage here. So every organization, whenever you change, hope you remember we had discussed that Levin's change model, this freezing, sorry, what is that, unfreezing, freezing and refreezing, sorry, unfreezing, moving and refreezing. So this was the Levin's change model. So I had taken an example of an ice cube. If you want to change the shape of the ice cube, you have to first melt it. So that is where is the stage of the first stage, that is unfreezing. Okay, you have to unfreeze that ice cube and it will change into water. Then the moving phase is you put that water in a mold, whichever shape you desire it, desire your ice cube to be into. So you put it in that mold. That is the stage of moving phase in the Levin's model. Third phase is the refreezing. So if you don't refreeze, that mold, again keeping it in the refrigerator, the shape cannot be retained, right? Let us say instead of cube, now the ice cube, the ice will be in the shape of a what I can say, a circle, a round shape, ball shape, right? So if you want to retain that shape, you have to refreeze the mold, keep it in the refrigerator. Once the ice refreezes, if you open it, you will get a round shaped ice. Okay, so that is how you refreeze here. Refreezing is nothing but institutionalizing. You retain the change. So whatever changes you have brought, you have to retain those changes. If you just leave it as it is, there are always major chances are there where the employees will go back to the older system because they love it, they like it very much, they are adjusted to that old system. This is a big headache for them if the new system is implemented. So how to bring that refreezing stage here? So that is what is the discussion here. So the first thing is socialization. Okay, so in simple terms, try to bring uh, consensus over the organization. Try to communicate information about the change in the whole organization. Inform everybody that this change is permanent. It is not going to shift. We are not going to shift back to the old system. Everybody has to accept the new changes in the organization. So there is no other chance, or there is no other opportunity for you people to go back to the old system here. So that is what is socialization here. So here the whatever the interventions have been implemented, you need to ensure that it is communicated, that information is communicated to the members of the organization. So by doing so, especially the new members in the organization, recently joined or something like that. So they always have that fear. Okay, my God, these changes have happened, whether we'll be able to learn or not. So here it is the duty of the old members or the experienced members to ensure that this change process is being communicated to them also. Okay, so by doing so, every single employee in the organization will get the information about the change, and he will fix up his mind that there is no escape from this change process. It becomes a norm for the employees of the organization. Okay, so norm means what? In our family also there are certain norms. If elders come in, we leave the chair and we give it to them. Nobody tells this to us, but still we follow those norms. So here also it becomes a norm in the organization if the employees start discussing and communicating about the change in the organization. And this discussion or communication should be positive in nature. It should talk positive about the change, not negative about the change. So by giving that information, positive information about the change process, you will make sure that your employees start accepting these changes in the organization. So that is what is socialization. Second thing is commitment. Members freely select the change behaviors here. See, most of the times commitment cannot be forced on anybody. Okay, you have to motivate your employees to uh, uh, become committed to their work here. So let the employees freely select what kind of change behaviors they want. Try to try not to force them on anything. Okay, so give them time. Slowly they can change themselves. It's See, if you force them temporarily, they will change, but once you go out or go back, maybe there is a chance that they will again shift back to the old system or the old behaviors. So here, give them time on to go with the change on their own. So that commitment, try to create an environment of very high commitment. So when other members start becoming committed to their new behaviors, the members who were reluctant or resistant, they also will slowly start accepting, and they also start becoming committed to the new behaviors here. So and this commitment should come from all the levels. Okay, it is not that it comes from only lower level, because most of the times what happens is, whenever there is a change happening in the organization, all the people put pressure on the lower level employees. They have to change, they have to be committed. So this kind of pressure is always put up on the lower level employees. Commitment should come on every level in the organization. So it may be the organization at large, the managerial level, that is the middle level, or it may be the lower level in the organization. So the commitment should be what I can say, motivated in the employees which are belonging to all the areas of the organization. So but what I'm trying to say here is, give them time to change themselves. Don't force anything on them, because if you force them, it is going to be temporary. If you give them time to change, it is going to be for a long term benefit for the organization. So that is what is, try to bring in commitment, find out ways how commitment can be increased in the organization towards these change behaviors. Okay, so that is what you are supposed to do in the second technique. Third technique is very simple: reward allocation. If you change, if you practice the change, you will be rewarded, right? So purely link the rewards with the new behaviors. Very easy, and the most successful technique here to bring those new behaviors in the organization. These rewards can be of two categories. One category is intrinsic, and second category is extrinsic motivation. I'll tell you what intrinsic motivation. Many people work due to some inner motivation. Okay, if you give them an appreciation, a word of appreciation also, they are very happy. They are like satisfied souls. Okay, but there are set of people, until and unless you don't give them a salary hike or a promotion or anything like that, or benefits in kind, they will not get motivated. So such kind of things are they are called as extrinsic motivators. So try to use both the motivation techniques here. You can use appreciations, or you can use rewards like best employee of the year, or you can give awards like the most active person in the change process. You can give such kind of, you can give some titles for the employees. So these are some kind of rewards. Other side, extrinsic rewards can be like a hike in the salary for all the employees who have successfully implemented the change, incentive schemes, then bonus schemes, right? So such kind of schemes can be brought in, wherein the more the employees accept the new behaviors, the more benefits they are going to get. So this linking rewards towards that new behaviors have to be done, so that uh, the employees start learning those new behaviors. This is one of the best strategy or a way to bring in new behaviors and accept those new behaviors easily in the organization. Then the fourth technique is diffusion system. Okay, so sometimes what happens in the organization, only one department or one set of people will be following the change process. It is not enough. Ensure that this change has been transmitted across the organization. Okay, so I'll just give an example. Whenever our principal wants to change something in the college, he calls directors or HOD sirs of the different departments. He will tell them that this change is supposed to be brought in. Imagine if the HODs does not come back and tell us, tell the faculties and students that these are the changes which are supposed to be implemented. Only he will implement it and he will start using that, or he will start working on that. If imagine he will not come and tell us or our students regarding that information, it is going to be a utter failure. So the change has to be the change has to deeply root in itself till the last level in the organization, then only it can be permanent. So the diffusion, that is information and how the change has to be implemented, it should be communicated and transmitted across the corners of the organization. So that management has to take care of. It has to call people from various departments, ensure that the information reaches them, how things have to go on, and then those people have to go and implement those new behaviors or changes in their departments. The management should ensure that the changes are happening correctly or not. So that is again one more technique. Then the last technique, very one more easy technique, is sensing and calibration. So here you have to sensitize your organization in such a way that whether the implementation is happening correctly or not. Okay, because calibration is something where you try to balance yourself. Okay, so until unless you don't understand what kind of problems are going on in the organization, let us say like during implementation, if there are any deviations from the system, so if there are any deviations from the timelines, if there are any deviations from the planned path for the change, so that has to be sensed. That is what is sensing. And after sensing them, you have to calibrate, you have to ensure that it does not move out of the line. Okay, it will remain in the line, it will not deviate itself from the system. So that is why implementation feedback, as I was discussing earlier, it's very very important. So here every stage of the change process, you have to ensure that feedback is taken. That is what is trying to sense what problems the organization is going to face, or what deviations the organization is having in the change process. After that, ensure that the things are balanced out. So don't let it to deviate too much from the path which you have designed for your change process. So whatever change process path you have designed for your organization, don't allow it to deviate from there. If you allow it to start deviating, the whole change program is going to be a utter failure. Okay, and huge amount is going to be wasted, resources are going to be wasted, time is going to be wasted. And that is why implementation feedback plays a very important role in institutionalizing the uh, change process in the organization. So these are some few techniques wherein change process can be using them, change process can be institutionalized. So how will you understand whether the organization has institutionalized or not? Whether the organization has started following the new system or not? These are some few indicators which will tell you whether institutionalization is happening in the change process or not, whether people are following it or not. The first indicator is check the knowledge of employees, whether the employees are able to gain the new knowledge and skills which are required for the new change in the organization. That is the first indicator. You can ask them questions or you can experiment on them also. That is, you can give, or let us say some automation system is being implemented, you can ask them to go and operate the machinery correctly. So that is how you can check whether they have acquired those new skills and knowledges to operate that machine or not. That is one indicator. So if they are if they do it very easily, they don't find any difficulty in operating that machinery, that means now the knowledge and the skill which was required to operate that machinery has fixed up in their mind. So that is the first indicator to check whether the people are set up for the new change system. Okay, second thing is very simple: performance. So what was the intention of automation? To increase the production. Whether that production is being reached, the production target is being reached every day or not. Check with that performance. Okay, so that is one more indicator. The performance of the employees can be used up to check whether the people are really giving their 100% and the performance has increased or not. Because the intention of this change process was to increase the performance or productivity. So when it is, if it is not giving that result, what is the use of that change process, and what is that is going to be a waste of time for the organization. So performance has to be checked. Then preferences. Here, what the employees prefer now, you have to take a feedback from them. So preferences in the sense, you can ask them questions like whether you want to shift to the old back system or the old system or what. So if they start preferring the new system, that means they are fixed up. They are now habituated to the new system. So you can ask their preferences on comparison with the old system and the new system. So that will also give you an answer whether the employees are habituated to the new change processes. Then normative consensus. The word itself tells you it should be like a norm in the organization and everybody has to follow it. Consensus means everybody should have one voice on those norms. So it should be habit. The employees have to cultivate that habit in themselves so that it acts like it becomes a norm in the organization. So nobody will teach you or nobody will tell you what you are supposed to do. It will happen on its own. Just like as I gave an example, a norm in the family is whenever elders come in, you get up. You know, it is a nobody will tell you, but still you automatically react like that whenever an elderly person comes into your house. The same thing has to happen in the companies also here. So you have to follow it. It should become a norm in the organization, and everybody should start following it. So whether that has become a norm, whether everybody is following that norm or not, you have to check it. How you can check in? You can conduct interviews, you can conduct observations, you can conduct a questionnaire survey method. So that is how you can get that information. And the last indicator is the value consensus. Okay, so whether the values of the new organization, changed organization, have been uh, inculcated in the behaviors of the employees. So those values and beliefs you have to check in whether the employees are positive towards the new change process, or whether they are planning, or they are somewhere in their corner of the mind have negative opinions about the change process. So those values have to be whether the employees are accepting those new changes. You have to check that in terms of checking their values here. So these values and beliefs will actually ensure that the employees are 100% following the new behaviors. Okay, so that is why those values also can be checked in here. The best strategy what you can do is try to evaluate the culture of the organization. So there only you will get the value consensus. How, what kind of thoughts, what kind of behaviors are there in the employees who are accepting those new changes. So easily you can get to know that. So these are some few indicators of institutionalization. Okay, so with this we'll stop in for today.